disregard for human life. What's so amusing about this? So tell me then, what is the weight of a human life to you?
Wait, who was that?
How could you ever forget?
Something's not right. They're Lord Muzan's memories.
It'll take to make you twice as good as new.
Before we get started, I just want to allow my guest the opportunity to introduce themselves, basically tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and also tell us your top 2 favorite magic-related movies, books, or TV shows, and why you like them.
My name is Mick Lauer. I'm a voice actor. I'm also an animator on the side, as more of like a personal thing. I do a lot of anime, some video games, and yeah, in terms of magic-related content that is so specific. All right, I guess an easy one would be Harry Potter.
Okay.
Only because it's become kind of like my comfort background noise. Not right now. At times, I'll go through like phases where I binge it, usually in the fall, and I'll just binge all the movies from beginning to end. And then by the time I get to the end, it's taken so long, I feel like I can start back at the beginning and it's still fresh again. But it makes for good background noise while I'm drawing and animating and stuff like that. Other magic related, I guess, Berserk?
Okay.
Does that count?
Yeah, that would count.
Okay. Because
otherwise, once all the demons and stuff come in, yeah, that gets into that magic territory.
Right? Yeah. Because otherwise, I mean, I'd love to say, JoJo, but that's not really magic. It's not.
I would consider that magic. You know what I mean?
You would? I mean, if
would.
you consider that, then I have to put, then fuck Harry Potter. I put JoJo jump at the front. Also,
okay.
I don't, am I allowed to swear? Because I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, you can.
Okay. Not that I feel like I need to swear all the time, but it slips out sometimes, so I'll try to watch it.
As long as it comes natural and you're not forcing yourself. I don't like when people just cussing the cuss. It's just like, come on, man.
I agree. I agree.
For my 2 favorite magic-related content are things that I like. I chose 2 animes because I usually choose movies, and Harry Potter has been a big one. Just like you, I've been doing a lot of rewatches of it lately. Last year and technically this year too, so I've been talking about Harry Potter a lot. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of skip
watching the journey of those kids, not just in the story, but IRL, dude. Like you're watching kids actually grow up in real time. You know what I mean? And that to me is just nuts. Like that, the fact that was such a huge part of like not even just their life, but specifically their adolescence, like the most formative years, right? The most impressionable years of your life. You're on set being another kid having fictitious relationships, but what are the real relationships? I don't know, man. Like it's a lot. It's a lot.
We haven't heard any one of them gone crazy or done anything crazy either. So that's one thing to think about, because you always hear about some of those kid actors back, and then they come back and be adults and be crazy and do all this wild crap, and then you be like, well, I didn't have a childhood, and you're like, well, we literally watched theirs. You know what I mean?
You're so right, and that is actually, considering how many kids were a part of it, and I'm sure 1 or 2 of them, maybe, there's just too many of them that nobody fell off. But I would say specifically, like Daniel Radcliffe, he did pull an Elijah Wood, where like I feel like Elijah Wood for the longest time was kind of pegged as like the innocent kid-like guy. You know what I mean? He had the big doughy eyes and he played like these type of innocent roles. And then I think after Lord of the Rings, he was kind of tired of that. And then he did like a bunch of other projects where he got to play kind of weirder, grosser, darker characters. And I think Daniel Radcliffe had the same thing, where he got to experiment. I know one of the dramas was when he played the character in Equus, the play about the horses, and he was naked on set and I personally, it's theater, it's an old play. It's really not that crazy that he did that, being a theatrical actor. But I remember people being like, why is he doing that? Isn't he Harry Potter? And it's like, dude just wants to like not be in your box. You know what I'm saying? Like you can see him going out and doing that, and I always love when actors do that. Yeah, Channing Tatum did it too, where like he was like the good-looking, just model-esque, chiseled, romance lead, and then suddenly he's like the gimp in This Is the End or the End of the World movie, whatever it was. And yeah, he's played a bunch of other wacky characters.
Seth Rogen and I was surprised he did that. That was crazy.
Yeah,
but it's funny that you bring that up because I was talking about like action movies that I was watching recently, and then you got those Jason Statham movies. And it was The Beekeeper, and then Jason Statham movies are always going to be Jason Statham movies. How they're just always going to be the same, but you always going to watch them because they're going to be entertaining. Like they're going to be entertaining.
You're so right. Oh my gosh, you're so right. And
but the funny thing about it,
he has that new one.
Yeah,
it's basically The Beekeeper, but it's like another thing or whatever it was. Yeah.
I think it's called The Working Man, and that's right. I was looking at all his titles, and I was like, the funny thing about Jason Statham is he has always had a job in almost every one of his movies. He's always
working. Beekeeper, Working Man. Yeah, dude.
He does not play around. He does not ever play a homeless man.
That is so true, dude. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You said Harry Potter, but you said that there were two animes.
Two animes that were my two magic related favorite magic related shows. They would have to be Black Clover. Black Clover is amazing. I don't know if you ever watched it.
Yeah, it's
classic. But you should. Fairy Tail is up there. I like Fairy Tail. When it's more or less not always about friendship, I do get a little bit of that when the content you're watching is talking about friendship too much. That gets to me eventually because it's like, okay, I understand being friends, but let's not make that the whole show.
Yeah, especially if they like hit you over the head with it, because in other, I think in better writing, like you'll just see it happening. They don't need to tell you like, we defeated you because I had I have one thing you don't. Friends, it's like, oh god, we got it. You're popular. Okay.
You know what I mean? And I feel like Black Clover does it way better. Where like at the end of the day, it's them coming together at the end to do it, but it's not necessarily always thrown in your head. But you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for my number two, it have to be That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. I feel like that is one of my favorite shows. I literally keep up with the manga. I keep up with the anime. I know this last season wasn't as like popular as all the other seasons because they did a lot more world building in this season, which I kind of like because I felt like we needed to see more of the world and stuff. But I know the next season, if we get it how it is in the novel, it's going to be crazy.
How long is it? And is it still ongoing?
I think it's the novel wise, I think the novels is ending, but I think manga wise, we still got a lot to go for the manga because the manga is still like a lot further back. I'll say at least 4 or 5 books that I can remember.
And right now there's 2 seasons?
Right now I think there's about 4 or 5.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm going to take it that you're a connoisseur. I did not watch that series because it kind of fell into a grouping when like a whole bunch of animes were coming out. Like that time I was reincarnated as a vending machine. The time I was reincarnated as an assassin. And I'm just like, everyone being reincarnated. And it's like, okay. So I didn't even know, even if I wanted to watch one, I wasn't even sure which one to follow because I felt like, you know what I mean? Like there's so many of them. It's like, which one would I even have the time to watch if I'm going to commit?
And a lot of them are usually just one season things. They're not really meant for you to watch them continuously. Because a lot of times, most of the mangas in this for these animes only be like 20 chapters. So they really just ending it with the anime.
Yeah.
So really, you just pick what you want. I've always been a big isekai fan, so no matter what, I'm probably gonna watch them because I just feel like it's a cool genre. Because to me, it makes sense. I mean, if you can be teleported into another anime world, why not? Be the strongest motherfucker there. Like I can imagine not.
Yeah.
You want to come here and be an average person? I might as well just stay over here and die like a regular person. Like.
Yo, I actually like the. Did you see the trailer for Predator Badlands?
No, I haven't seen that.
So this is all in the trailer, so it's not too much spoilers. But apparently, it's the story of a predator's first hunt, and they show in the trailer that there's one of the Wayland androids or whatever replicants or whatever they like to call themselves. It's synthetics, and I guess she kind of acts as the translator for the audience because the dude's a predator. He doesn't speak, you know?
Yeah.
But the premise, I guess, is that they're on a planet and everything on the planet is stronger than this predator. Like everything on this planet, this predator is the prey on this planet, which I thought was a pretty fun concept. You know what I mean?
So now we got to watch him try to like, does he get stronger after each kill or something? Or like,
I'm curious, but you know, because usually when Predator rolls up, he's the strong. I mean, yes, he gets defeated, but he's usually, it's against the odds that you're going to defeat a Predator, right?
Yeah.
And so seeing a Predator walk into a situation where they are clearly under-leveled for the level or for the world that they're in, I don't know. I'm curious how that pans out. I'm curious how they grow and how we watch them learn and stuff like that. That I hope is a big part of the show.
I would think so. You probably get to see them actually be hunters and see how good a strategist they really are. Because I mean, that's the only way I can see you taking down something more powerful and bigger than you. But
they got to be cunning rather than overpower it. Yeah.
But sometimes that's a hard switch. You know what I mean? From being the thing that comes and everybody's afraid of you to now being the person that has to take down the thing. Like, ooh.
Yeah, and it's directed, I believe, by the people or written by or produced by the team behind Prey, which I don't know if you saw Prey. You know, it wasn't for everybody, but I will say I love the Predator design. I thought the action sequences were great, and I thought the cinematography was stunning. I thought it was so beautiful. So hopefully, you know, I got good feelings about it. Predator franchise has been doing some really cool stuff. I don't know if you saw the Netflix animated show that they did. It was I
would definitely check that out.
Yeah, I think it was called Hunter of Hunters or something like that. But it was 3 vignettes that are tied together, and they take place over different periods of time. And every Predator in each period of time is very different. The fights are very, very different in terms of like what tech was available, what fighting style, depending on what part of the country they're in and what time period they're in. And I thought, you know, it wasn't too deep, but it was very well done. And I just love seeing Predator as a franchise come out with some bangers, because I was not a huge fan of that last Predator movie, not Predators, the one with Adrian Brody on the planet, the hunting planet. I actually liked that movie, but there was one after that which I don't know, I thought it was fine. It had like the Mega Predator or the Super Predator or something, and it was like it was all right, it was okay, very forgettable. But yeah, hopefully more good Predator stuff.
That's interesting that you talk about that, because I've been recently myself been trying to get into some more live action movies, because usually I'm always watching something animated because I'm either reviewing something or trying to just prepare to interview somebody. So recently I got to watch this movie called Nobody that had the actor from Breaking Bad, Sal Goodman. So it was kind of interesting kind of seeing that character who was kind of like the weaselly lawyer kind of go from that to kind of being the hitman, the John Wick type of character. And I just thought that was interesting. And I remember watching the movie, and then I had to kind of, because every time I watch movies, I always kind of like Google the characters, the background of the characters, and try to stuff. And I remember seeing one thing that was like, oh, could he beat John Wick? And I'm like, oh, I don't know about all that, but
I don't know about all that.
The funny thing,
a good fight though, but yeah, he's not bulletproof. You know? Yeah.
The crazy thing when I was thinking that, because after I got done watching that, that's when I watched The Beekeeper, and I was like, you know what? I don't think neither of them can beat The Beekeeper. He was crazy good in that movie. I was like,
he was crazy. But did you ever see a movie called Hardcore Henry?
I don't think I've seen that.
It's all from a first-person perspective. The whole movie is from like literally through the eyes of Henry. I think you, yo. I think you'd like it. You like action?
Yes, I love action.
This is like cartoonishly insane action. And it's almost like you were playing like a video game where it's like first-person perspective video game, just based on not only the craziness that happens, but the storyline. The plot is very...
Is that the one they filmed with GoPros?
Probably. I mean, I would assume it was something like that.
Because I remember it was one movie, there was an action movie where kind of like that when they were making it in first person and they were going to make it with GoPros. I don't know if it's that specifically, but
it might be. I mean, it would make sense that they did something like that. Dude, just look at the trailer. I think you will enjoy it. It's kind of like a sit back and just enjoy the ride. There's like mini bosses. There's, you know, enemy crowds that he has to go through, and there's upgrades that he gets, and you know, it's essentially like watching a video game, but very bloody and occasionally pretty funny. In terms of the acting, it's fine. You know what? It's got the South African dude from District 9, and he's also in a bunch of other things. But yeah, no, it's a fun movie, and if you like action, I think you'll enjoy it.
For sure, I'm definitely glad to check that out.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and jump right into our interview. But my first question I want to ask is, basically when I was doing my research and everything and looking on IMDb, the one role that you play that really like threw me for a loop was the fact that you play the demon slayer that scared the shit out of Muzan. I mean, the fact that you are actually this character threw me for a great loop, and it makes me feel like, wow, because you should be having some scenes coming up in some of these movies of just flashbacks. I know your character is not going to come back, which, man, that would be amazing. Like, if he
that would be fun.
That would be crazy. Really, but how does it feel to play that character? What does the character mean to you? And how much do you actually know about the character?
I did my research. I would say that, you know, I care about the character, and I do know about the background. I wouldn't say it's like I'm the most fully embodied and invested in all of it, mainly because I think it's so hard to even do that. The guy is more myth than reality in terms of how he's brought up, right? Like, he's usually talked about, and we see some small snippets of his life. So in terms of like meat to really grab onto as an actor to get to know this character, you know, you really got to do your research rather than just watching. You know, you got to kind of take everybody else's stories and piece together who this guy really is, which I think is kind of the point in some ways, where, you know, to have this myth of a character that kind of hovers over the story, that certain villains get PTSD just thinking about this dude. And then it lends to that whole like, well, who would win in a fight? You know, it's like, I mean, he's a legend. There's not really much of a discussion here. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't mean like, oh, he would defeat anybody. I just mean like, we don't really know what his stats are. You know what I mean? Especially because like you look at a legend in any sport, right? From back in the day, and then you look at a legend now. The stats are, I mean, what players do now compared to what they were doing back in the day is insane. You know what I'm saying?
You mean like a Michael Jordan, LeBron James
versus the first Hall of Fame basketball player. You know what I mean? Like those guys would tear that guy apart. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like when it comes to, but we still consider people to be legends. And that's why like there'll always be the debate like, oh, Muhammad Ali in his prime or Mike Tyson in his prime versus Michael Jordan in his prime versus, it's like, we know these legends and what they did for their time period. But I don't know. I feel like as things progress, the legends that we have right in front of us in our lifetime, I think they're potentially more powerful and more formidable. And so while I think it would be cool that, you know, no one could hold a candle to Yoriichi, I would like to believe that the new generation of heroes would would be able to hold their own, that it would be a solid fight, that it wouldn't be a blowout, which is what I think some people think it would be.
I think it would be a blowout. Only reason because none of them, all their styles are just a derivative of his style.
Sure.
Like the only person I can see maybe could probably beat him is Tenjirō because he actually can do Sun style, but he can't do. I don't know, man. We gotta see some more, but I don't know if he can really even beat his brother. And we got to see that fight that's still going to come into the Infinite Castle. So it's like Yoriichi was just on a whole nother level. You know what I mean? Like,
look,
he was,
I love that idea. I'm just trying to give a little bit of, you know,
I wonder if they're ever going to
animate. You know,
I wonder if they're ever going to animate his fight with Muzan that literally hit Muzan literally in so much fear. Because I mean, he literally almost killed him, but.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would love if there was ever like a side story or backstory that they explored more of his life and some of his adventures.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I'd love that. I'd love that. Not just for me as a, you know, as the dub voice of him, but, you know, just to see it. I mean, I do love that. And there is also something to be said about letting a legend be a myth, you know, letting a myth be a myth, that not everything needs to be explained and all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, there's a power to that as well. And we live in a time where we want to know the backstory of everything. And how does that power actually work? And you know what I mean? Versus just like suspension of disbelief or allowing things to be unanswered and to, you know, let that be powerful in of itself. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's similar to how I used to feel about Dumbledore. And like when I was rewatching the Harry Potter movies, and I was like, I'm glad. Like at first, I used to be like, "Dang, why it seem like every time something happened to Harry, Dumbledore gone? Like, I'm like, why is he never there?" But then I'm like, I'm kind of glad he was never there because it never broke the myth or showed you like where he was power. Because you can still believe that he still was the strongest person out there until like he literally had to fight Voldemort. And to me, I still feel like he was still the top when he was fighting him. But then we realized he had the Elder Wand. Then it was like, you know what I mean? But still, I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah. The short answer though is it was a huge honor. You know, Demon Slayer is iconic. I think it was the franchise that broke the Western box offices in theaters. Like I think it was one of the first that really kind of showed the Western industry that this is for real. Like, you know, that people are going to line up and people are going to vote with their wallet that they want to see this stuff. And I think it broke a couple of records. And so I mean, and it's not just the money, obviously. That's just a reflection of how powerful of a franchise it was, and to be a part of it in any way is just a huge honor.
Yeah, you got to give it props because you got to feel like it literally brought animation back to the screens, to the main screens, because for a while you weren't really getting animated movies going to the main screens. You can actually go to the theaters, and when they're actually able to show that, you know, we can make animation so good that's like rivaling your Disneys and your stuff like that, which I feel like at this point, Demon Slayer, everything they've shown us has been on another level, and I can't wait to see what this new movie they just got, Infinity Castle, looks like. Because man, and I know we gotta wait till September just because, you know, the English dub and all that, but man,
well, it's a trilogy, right?
Yeah, it's 3 movies coming out. But
so
the first
even
one,
after the first one, there's gonna be more.
Man, the only thing I don't like is I think the timeline is a little like 1 or 2 years between each movies. But I tell people when you get to that level of animation, it actually takes a minute. Because they're actually saying Solo level, it might take about 2 to 3 years for them to get the next season out, just because of how far they're trying to push the animation. So I'm like, we all talk about we want this level of animation, but now we're kind of having to wait for it because it's like, man.
Hey, I'm a JoJo fan. We're kind of forced to be patient. That's just the nature of being a fan of JoJo. You have to be patient. So yeah, I think it's good. I think them taking their time is good, and you know, I think the fans are still going to be there. You know, I don't think they're going anywhere.
Yeah, I say it's no point of rushing because you just had a season of Blue Lock that just recently, and they kind of rushed and went from the first season and second season, and man, then the animation just wasn't really able to keep up until the last few episodes. That's where you're like, okay, you can tell they went in there and tried to redo this, but
yeah,
you need that time, and that's one just example of why you need that time.
Yeah.
But for my next question, I want to ask you is, you're also on another one of my favorite series. This is probably one of the first few animes that I actually watched, but then it just stopped. It stopped for a long time, but for some reason, it has come back with it.
Is this Bleach?
It's not Bleach.
Oh, okay.
It's actually Blue Exorcist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And man, the fact that some reason that it's come back with such a vengeance is so crazy to me, because it's like, wow. It's like 3 to 4 seasons. I got to catch up because I'm literally on just the newest season that just came up. Not the newest, but the first newest season. Yeah. So it's like, wow. But how does it feel like being a part of that? Or
yeah, I mean, I have a habit of being cast in important characters that aren't around a whole lot. So like,
yes,
like Inuyasha, I was the great dog demon. I think I show up in like 2 scenes or something, but like he's an important character. You just don't really see him. Same thing with Yoriichi. And then with this one though, I did feel like at least I got to stick around for a little bit, playing Satan. My favorite part about it was getting to play young, because he ages rapidly over the course of his, I guess, his life on Earth. Mm-hmm. And so being able to play the young version of him as he grows into an adult old man, that was super, super fun. But also trying to retain the fact that even though his body was aging rapidly, that his mentality was still very childlike. Like he was still a petulant child, even though he had the body of a man, you know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it was really, really fun. I feel like I walked into the project, or I came into the project at like a very interesting time, because like there's clearly a whole lot of stuff that happens prior to the little arc that I was in, but by the end of the arc I was in, it loops back to events and things and characters from the past. Yeah. And so to kind of come, it's almost like being it's like in the last 5 plays of a football game, they like swap out quarterbacks and they're like, all right, go for it. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? So yeah, it was a lot to catch up on, but it was super fun. Not only as an actor, like the technical challenge of it, but just the project itself, the character itself, the story itself was really, really fun.
Yes. And that's funny that, because when I was talking about that, you also brought up Bleach, because Bleach is also one of my favorite animes. But I also going to admit, with Bleach, I didn't like the first season that much, and that's only because of the theme song. But the 1,000-Year Blood War arc has been amazing. I'm only upset with it because it's been like going year after year, but this next season is going to be like 2 years, because I guess it was taking a little bit longer with the animation for the next season. But how does it feel being part of that? Were you a fan of Bleach? And you also, the fact that you also, when you said you play a lot of important characters that don't be seen as much, you literally you do that in this too.
yeah, Tenjirō. I mean, again, it's, there's something about it where like I feel like the audience has a greater connection to some of these characters because there's like lore behind them, and so people, they're either amped for the character, or they just, they've done their research, they've stuck around the series, so they know a lot about these characters, and so when they show up, it's almost like, oh yeah, that guy, finally he's here. Yeah. For me, I'm just like, what's up? What's going on? Like I pop in and I'm like, all right, I'm out later. So, I think it was, I didn't follow Bleach. But I was very, very aware of it. I saw a bunch of like the AMVs of it, and I grew up during the time when it was super popular. So it was, like I didn't follow all of Death Note either, but I'm fairly familiar with Death Note, only because it was everywhere at the time. Full Metal Alchemist, I actually did go back and catch up on that because I felt like it was necessary watching. Could you hold on one second?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Somebody's knocking on the door. It's a rare occasion. One sec.
Back, I have to listen
All
and
right.
see. But we're just gonna just move to the next question.
Sweet. And we're back. That was weird. What happened? Whoa.
You know?
Okay. We're back. All right.
You know, life happens, you know.
Sweet.
But for my next question, I want to ask, what's one voice acting myth you would like to debunk?
Oh, that's such a good question.
What do you think people believe that's not actually true?
Okay. That's a really great question. Man, there's a whole bunch of them. But I guess one of the myths is that voice actors have a lot of control over the script. That
okay.
they're capable of tweaking lines and editing lines. And I bring it up in the context of, I know there's been some drama regarding some voice actors where, and the audience specifically, where people were saying that, oh yeah, you know, voice actors, they can edit lines or reword lines to fit their own personal agendas, and they're injecting their own either politics or whatever platforms into my anime. Now, I'm not going to say that never happens, but I would say that's usually more at like the localization level, like when they're actually translating the scripts. In the booth, that very rarely happens. There are times when like they need to reword something because it doesn't quite fit, but very rarely have I ever been in a scenario where it was like, hey, let's just make up a whole new line here. You know what I mean? Yeah. I bring that up because I've definitely seen some actors getting flack for a particular line that their character says that may not be, you know, accurate to the original, and then they end up kind of getting the brunt of it. But to be fair on both sides, I've definitely seen some actors straight up say on social media that like, yeah, I got to change my line to make it more, you know, whatever. In which case it's like, well, you know, then for the people who wanted a more authentic script, you giving them every reason to, you know, point at you.
Come at you.
Yeah, come at you. Yeah, I think, yeah, in terms of myths, because then the discussion I kept seeing was, oh yeah, actors can change things anytime they want. Well, I was like, no, that's really not even close to the case.
Yeah, not at all. And then I'm trying to think, like, only thing to me that makes it weird is like if you're trying to use U.S. politics, it's in a Japanese animation, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you even try to pit our politics and how we think into? Because most of the time it's not going to correlate in what you're showing. Like, and most of the time, anytime you look in anime and they depict like the U.S. government or something, it's always something like crazy kind of depiction, man. I was watching one anime and they had like the government, our president, and they were like all fat and everything. I was like, oh Jesus Christ!
Do you ever watch Baki?
Yeah, I watch Baki.
Yo, dude, they do a number on American politics, dude. They don't hold back. But you know what? He doesn't hold back on his own country either. Like, this is a dude who I don't know. I think it's funny. It's crazy. But yeah, I agree. I think that I can see why certain people would feel as though it's appropriate to update a script with certain colloquialisms or terms that we use now, things like woke or cuck or what, you know what I mean? Some more, or like, oh, you got ratioed or cope, like these online words, these internet words that we hear now and again being injected into, let's say, animes that are supposed to be taking place in a modern era. or something like that. I can see why they would want to do stuff like that. The problem is, and I agree with you on your previous point, which is that culturally, they just have a different equivalent, right?
Yes.
And so, and I don't think it's always equivalent. I think once you throw on your own word from your own culture, it's already skewed at that point because there's a different implication, even if it's close, even if it's even if you're getting there, that's almost exactly what it means in modern Japanese culture. It's still not quite there. So why do that? You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
I do understand the attempt at cultural lines. Like, how do we take something that's, Japanese culturally, this thing, and how do we translate it into this other culture? I get why someone would want to do that. But then the problem for me with that is that there was already its own thing, right? And I want that thing. I want to watch this thing. So if you're going to translate it, just translate this thing. You know what I mean? Even if it's a culture that isn't my culture, that's fine. It doesn't need to be my culture. I don't even want it to be my culture. That's why I enjoy watching this thing,
and then
I just find
that's how you learn about more things. You know what I mean? Experience.
Right. It's like the whole 4Kids. What was it? Donuts or something?
4Kids TV.
Yeah, but they had like the donuts in was it Yu-Gi-Oh? I think.
Oh yeah.
But they were actually like onigiri or something, and it's like we're not teaching anybody anything, And I get it. That's an old reference, but I feel like we still got remnants of that happening. That said, I don't hate on anybody. I get people just trying to do their job. They're trying to do what they think is right. Hopefully.
And for the main question, I know you probably get asked all the time.
Sure.
What was the main reason you wanted to become a voice actor?
I loved cartoons as a kid. So that was in the back of my head way back when. Then I ended up going to school there was a number of other jobs. I wanted to make video games. I wanted to, all this other stuff. But eventually I did a lot of acting in school, and that continued on through high school, which then led to me going to an acting college, NYU, for performance. And I learned very quickly that while I love performing, I love embodying characters, I love telling stories, I love having a cast and we all together create moments for an audience, and there's that back and forth. I love all of that. I really don't love everything else. And that is the industry. That is networking. That is when we're on stage and I'm trying to do a scene with you and I know that you're trying to act to the agent and reviewer in the back of the audience. You're not here. We're not doing this thing, man. Like you're not here to act. You're here to showcase yourself for some other thing. And then, kissing the ass of certain people and playing the game, the hustle. Look, I have all the respect in the world for people who can do it and who find an appreciation for it and who can do that. I have a very hard time doing that. And it's not even a pride issue, which partially maybe, but it just feels fake. It feels, it's just the antithesis of what I want to do, which is the performance, which is try to bring reality to fictitious words, not share fictitious words to reality. You know what I mean? Creating like fake ass relationships. Right.
Want your work to speak for itself.
And so I quickly did not, I did some theatrical performances. I never really tried to get into TV or film. And again, I love TV. I love film. I love what they can do. Me as a performer, I have a hard time living in that world, but I did theater for a bit, had a theater company with some friends, and I quit acting. I was a graphic designer. I built websites, graphic materials, promotional materials, learned how to animate during that period of time, learned how to do front-end coding, HTML, CSS, all that kind of stuff. And that's what I did for a decade. Was for 10 years, I didn't do any acting. I was just doing graphic design and building websites. And then I took an introductory to voiceover class, and
Who got
very
you
quick,
interested?
that was my ex-wife.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
Was she a voice actor?
she wasn't, but she was also an actor. But I think she saw that it was killing me that I wasn't acting, that there was a part of me that was still, itching for it. And so she was like, maybe you should try this voice acting thing. It's just an introductory course. So I went to Edge Studio in New York City. Edge Studio, they got a bunch of them. It's run by this guy, David Goldberg, really nice guy. And I took this introductory course. After that, they called me in for an audition. I felt like it was kind of a scam at the time. Like, you take an introductory course for voice acting, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll get back to you. And then they say, hey, we have an audition for you. And then you're like, oh wow, maybe I can do this. You do the audition, maybe you even book the gig, make a couple $100, and then they say, you need a demo in some classes. We can sell you a package. That package, $1,500, $1,200.
And close to how much you made.
I made a lot more than what I got paid for the gig. So if anything, I'm like, ooh, is this a scam? But it wasn't a scam. It wasn't a scam at all. And you know what? Maybe some people do. I don't know. Maybe some people do take advantage of people like that, but it wasn't. They were legit. And I ended up building. It was a weird series of events, but I ended up building their website and maintaining their website, fixing their website, and then continuing to do more graphic work for them in exchange for demos and classes. Eventually, I took too many classes and had too many demos, and I was like, bro, you just need to pay me now. And then they were fine with that. But one of my teachers, my teacher specifically for animation and character voicing was Jay Snyder, Dan Green, the original voice of Yugi, as well as Knuckles and a number of other things. And he's doing the con circuit now. Wonderful human, wonderful talent. And I think he was partially how I ended up getting my first anime gig, which was at 4Kids, and it was for Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, as Roku, this really old dude. But yeah, sorry. The question was why, how did I get in, or why? It was because I wanted to get into cartoons and I wanted to act, and I did not like I didn't like the industry of film and television. But with voice acting, I felt like it was a lot more raw. I felt like it was a lot more real. Where it was just like I could be anybody. Like the way my skin looks, my age, all this shit, none of it matters if I can voice this character and I can do a good job. Then that's, it's based on your merits, right? Like rather than the optics of things. I will say, as time has progressed, I do think the voiceover industry has skewed more in the direction, or I'm not saying it is more, it's skewed in the direction of kind of the optics of things. You know what I mean? I do think like your headshot matters more. Your social media following matters more than it did before. Because before it didn't matter at all. In fact, it was laughable that it would even be brought up. Now,
do you think it's because there's so much more competition now?
Yeah, I think not only that, I think it's not only competition, but I think the industry moves slowly. And I think that they saw social media as either a fad or a phase or just not nearly, like it wasn't real. It's digital. Like these people aren't, you know what I mean? But the truth is, it's very real. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of a motivated fan base or anything like that, people showing up to cons, people watching the next episode, people, hyping up the show because they like the people that are in it. And they like the people that are in it based on their work, but also their online persona that they have, with their audience. It's a little parasocial at times, but that's what happens when you're online. That's just the nature of it. But yeah, it's definitely moving more in that direction. And, it is what it is. I don't hate it. It's still not LA, man. Or it's still not film and television. Film and television was like cattle to the slaughter, dude. You walk into a room and dudes with their mouths half full of their lunch while you're acting your heart out in front of them. Their cell phones going off. They don't even give you eye contact. It's just like, why would you treat anybody like this? And I've cast things before, and you just treat people like humans. These are the same MFers that, you know, they go to a restaurant and they treat waiters like second-class citizens. You know what I mean? Like, these are the people that believe that because they're being served, that they need to be served, sir. It's like, stop. You know, outside, as soon as my shift is over, I'm in the same bars you're at. I'm walking the same streets you are. You know what I mean? Like, to treat people like that is crazy. And the industry allows for that because these people, they hold the keys, you know, and people will suck up. Power. Yeah, people will suck up to them. And some people are great about it. Some people do not let it get to their heads. Other people, bro,
it's just hard. You know what I mean? Especially when you got a power, when you can kind of pit people on.
I could cast you. Like, I could cast you in the next this or that. Yo, that's a dangerous power. It's like, it's too much power for people to possess. But some people are really, really good about it. Most people are professional about it. But some people, especially in the film industry, which has been around for so long, and I think it's because it was normalized for so long. Shit like the casting couch, you know, Harvey Weinstein, all this shit. The old studio system. I think it was very much normalized. With voiceover, seems to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. But my next question I want to ask you is, what emotion do you find hard to portray with your voice?
Sometimes when I think I'm being gentle and calming, it can come off as intimidating. Like, not that, oh, I'm so intimidating. I just mean that it can come off as though I'm intimidating somebody. So I don't even know if I could do like a good example. It would be like, listen, everything's gonna be fine. Just stay calm and you're gonna be fine. And like that, I feel like it swings both ways. It's like, is that calming? Or is that like, uh-oh, what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? I don't know. There's definitely been times. Yeah, I think it's because I have a natural kind of like texture in my voice when I lower it, especially, that if I try to lower my voice to calm a situation, it can be a little rumbly and it can sometimes feel scarier than what I'm trying to portray. You know what I mean? It's like only because I'm lowering my volume to you know, calm a situation, now all of a sudden I'm like, which isn't my intent. Yeah.
I could again give you that opinion that it's like something else you're trying to say. Like, well, what do you mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that happens sometimes, and in which case they're like, can we get the texture out of that? And it's like, everything's gonna be fine. I got you. We're gonna be good. You know what I mean? And then I gotta like work against the texture. Yeah.
Winding down to our last two questions.
Sure.
So my next question I want to ask you, you've brought it up earlier about being an animator. What got you interested in being an animator, and what are some things you have animated?
I mean, again, it goes back to cartoons. I think when I was a kid, I wanted to make cartoons. I saw them. I loved them. I wanted to make them. Whether it was drawing them or voicing in them, I didn't care. I mean, I didn't know either. I was just a kid.
You just wanted to be a part of it.
Right. And so I was doing graphic design and I always doodled, but it wasn't until I saw a cartoon by Ego Raptor on YouTube. And I think it was right before 2010 or around that time. And he had mentioned in his YouTube video to go to Newgrounds to see the original high quality version of it. And so I went to Newgrounds and immediately was blown away. It took me a second to kind of digest what I was seeing, not just because some of the content was crazy, but it was also the idea that individuals were making these, the idea that one person or two could create cartoons was it was a really crazy paradigm shift. You know what I mean? And it was also a kick in the ass. Like, oh, well, if these guys are doing it, why can't I? And not that I would be as good as them, but that I could at least just try, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me a while to even start animating, and even then, like I don't think I'm a great animator. I love doing it. I find it very relaxing. But I just think it's fun. I think it's fun to do, and I learn a lot while I'm doing it. In terms of what I've animated, I animated a bunch of parodies as Rice Pirate on YouTube.
Okay. So you make a lot of shorts?
I used to, yeah. That was because they're easier to do as well. Like the idea of like, I'm going to do a whole show. It's like, that's insane, especially because if it's just me. But now I'm doing that and it's just me. I mean, when I say I'm doing a whole show, it's a passion project. So I'd say at this point, right now,
how many episodes have you gotten done?
I got 4 chapters done, and the 5th chapter is actually coming along pretty well. I'd say there's maybe like 40 minutes of content, which is quite a bit more than like a 2-minute parody that I used to do. It's a JoJo adjacent show. It takes place in Mexico in 1999. So the events of Diamond is Unbreakable haven't yet happened, because that happens like I think later in April, but they do coincide. Both stories are happening at the same time, and it's about Jose, and he is the son of Whole Horse, or one of the illegitimate children of Whole Horse. And I wanted to bring back Hamon as well as the vampires. You know, Mexico is where a lot of the masks were found initially. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it made sense. Plus, the original, like the first few panels of JoJo, even part 1, was the Aztec sacrificial ceremony that they show, which was the introduction to the mask. And then the creation of Dio and all that. So I thought it would be cool to bring the story back to its, original, birthing grounds, and tell a story there.
Wow, that's real interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was going to be my final question, basically, because you're part of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, and basically ask you, how do you feel about being part of that? And it seems like you really like the series, like you're really into it.
I mean, it's a dream come true. I was reading JoJo as it was being published. I mean,
okay.
Dude, I'm old. And so
you don't look like it.
I appreciate it. It's very kind of you. But yeah, man, I'd say I wasn't fully into it until maybe the early 90s.
Okay.
But I've followed it my whole life, and I always enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, sure, I had all the Dragon Balls and the Yu-Yus and other things like that. One Piece was one that I wanted to get into, but I felt like I was juggling a whole bunch of things at the time, and by the time it started popping off, I had already left Asia, because I was there for a good chunk of my adolescence, essentially. But when I came back to America, I didn't really have access to it. But yeah, I mean, it was a dream come true. It literally was a dream come true. And I did not think I was going to get that role at all. I had auditioned for Bang Zoom previously for another project, and I bombed. I was shaking on my way home. I bombed so bad, because it was for a mocap project.
Okay.
So we had to memorize the script and act it out. And I think part of it was the dude getting converted into, I don't want to give away the product. It doesn't matter. The project's already released. It was for a Resident Evil project. And the dude turns into a zombie or something. And it was just, look, and I have theatrical training, but it just felt weird to be in conference room B and, writhing on the ground, trying to remember my lines. And I got this crazy cotton mouth because I was so nervous, and I couldn't even talk. And that was my first audition for Bang Zoom, because I'd been in town for a year, and a lot of my friends tried to get me in front of these people, and it just never happened. And then finally they called me in for an audition,
and that was
the first one. I was like, that was it. I'm out. They ain't gonna ever call me again, ever. But then they did. They asked me to audition for JoJo, and I had a bunch of other friends that showed me their auditions as well, because for the same role, because they knew I was a fan of JoJo. And I worked with them on their auditions. I did not sabotage them, I swear. And I was just very lucky that they chose me for it. And I've said it before, but I remember when I got the email for it, it took me, I mean, it's only like 2 sentences long, where they're like, congratulations, you've been cast as this role. And I reread
Those
that
2
thing.
sentences can mean
I
lot.
reread it again and again and again and again, because I couldn't believe it. Like I was like, is this
That's
real?
all your
Is this
hard work paying off.
yeah, is this a scam? Is what is happening? So yeah, it felt like one of those very rare, it was not meant to be, but like things, like a prayer was answered moment. You know what I mean? Meant to be sounds a little like I'm entitled to that shit. I'm not entitled to nothing. That just felt like the universe handed me a bone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you took all that time off of acting. Now you finally get back, and that one dish gives you that reason to be like, yeah, I did need to come back. You know what I mean?
That story, dude, that's so true. After not acting for so long, and then within like 2 weeks of moving back to LA, I had an agent, and I was in the union and all that kind of stuff, and I was auditioning for stuff, which is crazy. It's crazy. When I was in college, like right around the time I was graduating college, I did an internship at Abrams, which was a bi-coastal agency, one of the biggest. And I interned there for a summer or whatever, with the hopes of hopefully getting on someone's radar. I did nothing but make photocopies and get coffee. That was it. When I was done, I was out. Never talk to me again. Show up 15 years later. Yeah, 15 years later in LA, the LA office of Abrams, same agency, just different coast and a different timeline. Sit down. In 30 minutes, I have an agent, and we're laughing about some of the craziness over in New York. Some of the folks back there. It was just such a weird, like how that worked out. Yeah, it felt like the universe just giving you a bone. Again, I'm not religious, but man, that type of stuff makes me wonder about cosmic forces and shit. It was really weird.
Sometimes that's what I just tell people. Sometimes things might not be working in your direction right now, but sometimes you just got to let stuff play out, man, because eventually things are going to go into your favor. Everything can't always be in the negative, because, man, if that's what's true, man, woo,
yeah,
I feel sorry for you. Like, you know what I mean?
I think, the whole phrase, it's about being in the right place at the right time. Mm-hmm. And I think the right place is preparation. Right? Like preparation is being in the right place. That's when the right time comes.
That's the luck.
You're ready.
Yeah.
You're ready to take the opportunity. Because I've seen a lot of aspiring voice actors who they say like, hey, I want to get into voice acting. What do I need to do? And the first thing is always, dude, you need a demo. Because, when it comes to an audition, you could say you're a voice actor. Imagine they said that to me right there in that conversation. They're like, man, I want to get into voice acting. And I said, really? Cool. Send me your demo. I'm auditioning people right now. And they're like, oh, I actually don't have a demo. But I want to get into voice acting. It's like, there's missed opportunity right there. That passed you by. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, the preparation of just being ready for the right time, if it comes. There's no guarantees, but hopefully it does.
Basically telling you people, you guys need to be researching and knowing what you need just in case you get into these opportunities be able to do something. Because, I mean, that would be crazy to be offered to be able to get a role and you not be able to give them a demo right there. And you're like, dang, I didn't even know I needed to have a demo. You know what I mean?
And how often does the right time and the right place line up? Imagine the right time showed up, but you weren't prepared. You weren't in the right place. You weren't in the right headspace. You weren't sure if you wanted to do it, all that kind of stuff. And maybe that was the one time. I don't know. I hope not. But yeah.
That's funny because you also just answered my last question, basically giving a little bit of advice for aspiring voice actors. But to kind of end this off, is there any upcoming projects that you want to let us know about, or are there any roles that you can't wait to try out in the future that you haven't been able to do yet?
I don't know if there's any roles I haven't been able to do that. I mean, that's not like I've done everything. It's just that I feel like I've done a pretty wide range of stuff, and I don't know. You know what? I haven't been
main roles.
Yeah. That
Okay.
I haven't been that. I have not been like the main guy of anything. I've been a part of the team. I've been a bad guy. I've been a main guy of some games, but like, and again, like, do I need to be the main guy? No, I don't really care. Just so long as it's a cool character. That's all I really care about, is that it's a cool character. But that would be one thing that I haven't done and would be cool. Yeah, in terms of roles, projects that are coming up, I'm trying to think of what I can share. Let's see. SMG has Lego Party coming out this year, and I play one of the two hosts. I also directed it and edited the audio. Yeah, it was a pretty chunky project. It looks very fun. I hope people enjoy it. Lego Party coming this year. Also, Titanic Scion. That is Daemon Machina 2. Daemon X Machina 2. That's coming out, I think, pretty soon. And I can only mention that because I'm on the website. They mention my name there, and they actually have some voice clips out this year, this fall, that I'm a part of, which I'm very excited for. A few of them
are them games people waiting to?
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, some of them are part of some pretty big franchises. Other ones, not. Some of them are original IPs. But yeah, I mean, it's just cool to be a part of certain franchises because I grew up with them, and then it's like I'm a part of it. It's crazy. And then as far as anime, I mean, I'm in Witch Watch right now, which I actually think is super fun. There is one show. Yeah, I can't.
If you can't talk
yeah,
about,
I can't.
talk about it because
I'll just say
I had an episode. I couldn't put it out because
no, I ain't gonna do that. No, there's definitely some fun anime stuff coming up next year, and then hopefully, Delicious
he's not confirming a Dragon Ball.
No. No, Delicious in Dungeon. I played Shuro, and I believe that there is the second core is already confirmed. Whether or not they're dubbing it, whether or not I'm going to reprising my role, I have no idea. Hopefully, yeah. With the Demon Slayer stuff, there's the trilogy of movies coming up, and I believe Yoriichi shows up, but there's no guarantees. Yeah. So
you're not in the first one, are you?
I'm not saying nothing.
Oh,
I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying nothing. I mean, again, it would be cool if he shows up, but who knows? And then what else? There's a few other shows. Oh, Rurouni Kenshin has there's the second part of the Kyoto arc. We'll see if that gets made, if that gets dubbed, and yeah, I mean, there's a few shows I pop in on. Oh, there is actually a pretty popular series right now. The character I play, just like we were talking about before, he's a well-known to the actual characters of that world, very well known, pretty powerful, shows up and then bounces. But it's for a show that I actually am very excited for, and I've been following and that I really enjoy. It's a newer show too, so I'm happy about that. Yeah. I mean, I love any opportunity I can get in the booth and do my job. It's always fun. It is absolutely my happy place. getting to just put on the headphones and work. It's nice. Yeah.
And with that, we wrap up all our questions and things. Is there anything else you want to discuss before we wrap it up?
Not at all, man. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing good. Do you do a lot of voicing stuff?
No, I haven't. I've been getting really interested in it, but I really haven't figured out a way to really kind of get like classes or anything to kind of learn about like acting and stuff like that. Because it's something I would want to actually do more research and stuff like that. I've done these interviews and talked to a lot of people, but I haven't actually tried to study voice acting. You know what I mean?
There's got to be a studio near you somewhere. I mean, without doxing yourself, I'd be surprised if there wasn't some place.
I've been trying to look around. I haven't really found any place because I'm based in Cincinnati, Ohio. Everybody knows where I'm kind of based at. So
there's got to be something out there.
I'm gonna try to keep looking. Majority I've been seeing is a lot of like online things like webcam stuff like that. So and I've been kind of like I don't know. So a lot of people been telling me that those are good, but then a lot of people been telling me it's better to do like it on like in person, so you can actually see acting like and stuff like that. So
yeah, I can't poo-poo any of these things because I've never taken an online course. But yes, I would say compared to actually getting one-on-one FaceTime with people, being able to actually work with folks like live, I could only imagine that it would be better. Like that the experience would be more the experience would be more thorough and
but then I've talked to people who said they've never taken a class. So it's like, oh, maybe I should just try to give it a shot and see what happens.
Do you have a setup?
I have what I have set up for my podcast. I have a mic and stuff like that, but I don't know if this is like a good mic for recording voiceovers and stuff. So I mean, I'll have to look into that. But
I'd say more importantly would be your space. If you have a separate space, like a closet or something that you can, with like blankets or shirts and stuff, just for recording purposes. Yeah. Yeah, dude, hey, you've got my email. If you end up in a project or something, hit me up. I want to hear it.
Oh, for sure, man. Definitely gonna have to send you an email and be like, yep, Ken, finally got my first booking.
Dude, I mean, look, auditions too, man. Auditions, they can be either soul crushing or they can be really motivating. It really depends on how you want to look at it. I feel like if you're going to be an actor in the industry, you have to learn to love auditioning because otherwise you're going to go nuts, because otherwise it's like, oh, I've lost every 90% single opportunity.
Of the job.
Right, exactly. Versus every single time you audition is an opportunity not only to practice, but also to get your voice heard by a casting director. And even if they don't cast you, they heard you. They saw your name. They heard you voicing. And that I cannot, understate how important that is. Dude, people would pay to have casting directors listen to their work. If you've got an audition, you give it your all. Don't expect anything. Just give it your all. Hand it over. That right there is a win, right? You got to practice and they got to hear you. That's a win. Every time.
Because if you're not good for that project, they might remember you for another project. They're like, what? This actually sounds like something you could do here.
One of the games coming out, that was exactly what the director said. He was like, I've heard, because it was a group session, and he's like, I've heard all of you guys. I've heard you guys multiple times, and I wanted to work with all you guys. And for this particular project and for this session, they allowed me to cast it myself. And I was like, I want to work. These are the guys I wanted to work with for a while. So now you guys are here. And that was amazing to hear. Like, because most of the time when you send an audition, you send it off into the void. Nobody's emailing you saying, good job. Oh, you were so close. And no, man, we really wanted to go with you. But yes, that can happen. But for the most part, it doesn't. And so you just never know. You never know who is listening, if they're listening and all that kind of stuff. So to hear that is a very awesome reminder that the reality is, they're listening.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And it kind of just lets you know your hard work is paying off, because sometimes just getting those little wins it just helps motivate you. Because if the whole thing is just you grinding and never ever getting a good job, or it's gonna hurt. It's gonna be heartbreaking. It's gonna be like, what am I putting all this into if nobody's ever gonna be able to be like, oh, what you're doing is good. You know what I mean? That's why I feel like cons and people recognizing you and stuff like that is great motivation. It just shows that, you know, people recognize what you're doing, and what you're doing is actually having an impact on people. You know,
absolutely, absolutely. And hopefully that remains the motivation rather than the goal. That, in my opinion, I think the work should be the goal, doing the best job possible. And if people recognize it, that's great motivation. It's also great for other opportunities down the line. But if that's ever the goal, if the recognition is the goal, there's a lot of other things you can do for recognition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of other things you can do. Yeah.
And with that, we end today's episode. I want to thank my guests for coming on and chatting it up with me. I had a lot of fun and learned so much more about the industry of voice acting, and hopefully you listeners did too. Before we close out, I just want to allow my guest the opportunity to plug himself and basically tell the audience where they can find you. So basically just give us your social media.
Thanks for having me, first of all. And you can
find
a pleasure,
me, man.
Dude, it was a pleasure. You can find me. I mean, I'm trying to stay off social mostly. But Blood Sun Vendetta is on YouTube. If you're a JoJo fan specifically, it's a fun side project. And I'm on Twitter kind of here and there under Rice Pirate Mick. But yeah, mostly I'm trying to stay offline mostly. It's been a lot. It's been a lot lately. So I'm just trying to hunker down, do my work, hang out with the people I love, and play with my dog.
When you get a chance, make sure to send me the.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Peace.